What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fresh Podcast, where we bring everything fresh in entertainment. I am joined by the double R's today. I'm joined with Randy. Randy, how you doing?
Fantastic. Glad to be on another episode.
Exactly. And you know what else I'm glad about? I'm glad that Robert is here with us on another episode. Robert, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm just happy to be remembered.
Exactly. We can never forget Robert. Robert's great. And the most important person of all, you guys are joining us, the listeners, because we appreciate you guys listening or watching us if you're on YouTube. Quick thing, if you haven't already, we have a TikTok channel where we show off shorts, and there should also be some YouTube shorts if you're watching this on YouTube. Please go support those. Those are great and lovely. But on with that shameless plug out of the way, Randy, what are we talking about today? Why are we here on this podcast? What is it? What is the amazing topic that we're doing today?
Today, we're going to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes.
Finally coming out. I swear I've been hearing about this movie for like the past 3 years.
This movie has been very high anticipation especially because this is one of the this is one of the only superhero movies coming out of Marvel coming out this year. Really just like one of the only super movies coming out period this year. Because it's been kind of like a bit of a dry spell for superhero movie fans. But yeah, this is the big one. Deadpool and Wolverine finally hitting theaters. Much anticipated. So, real quick, just wanted to shout out for the first couple of minutes of this. We'll give a good not spoiler, and we'll even give our rankings for that not spoiler part before we start going into specifics and stuff. I'm sure there'll be time codes in the description or something, but it'll be very obvious when we start going into spoiler territory. So,
Just start screaming like a banshee when it's spoiler time.
ah, like that, just like no cohesive, just like yell into the mic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just that, like for like
Maybe
a good,
no.
like 30
Yeah,
minutes.
no,
I just blew
no,
out the
if you
audio.
cap your mic, that's yeah.
Yeah, I definitely just capped that right there. I did that really close. Headphone listeners will love that bit. I guarantee you. But let's get into it. Yeah, let's just go ahead and get started into Deadpool. I really enjoyed it, and I think this might be a bold statement coming out the gate. I think I like it more than the first two, but I'm very like fully aware that it's like that probably most or a lot of moviegoers won't. And what I mean by that is this movie is full of cameos. It's full of jokes about superhero movies, not just about Marvel, but the whole industry together, about time and multiverse and how everything's a multiverse now. But it's
It's
also
it's
like
Deadpool. There is no fourth wall.
exactly, yeah, and tons of jokes directly at the audience. But really, like a love letter for like the X-Men fans and X-Men movie fans, which I freaking love. Always loved the X-Men since I was a kid. But I recognize also that for like if you just go and watch movies for movies and you're not the biggest like X-Men or superhero fan, I don't think this is gonna be the movie to like bring you in. I think this is unapologetically like, no, this is for comic book nerds and nobody else. And like that's and it fully admits that and it fully commits to that. It doesn't try to like explain every single cameo or every single character that pops up. It is full just like we are here for the niche and for like the hyper fans, and that's it. And I kind of respect that about it. Robert, what are your thoughts on just the movie in general?
I'm definitely with you. I honestly feel like that was my favorite one I've seen out of all of them. I feel like it was like the best paced out of all the movies. I think a lot of the jokes landed a lot better than, at least for me, than like the first two. I
Mm-hmm.
love the meta humor. I love like the references, even if I don't understand a lot of them since I haven't been like an X-Man fan.
Yeah.
But you could just tell that they really care for these properties and wanted to at least give them some love. And you see elements of that throughout the entire movie. I love a lot of the fight sequences. There's one shot in particular, which I think both of you guys know exactly the one I'm talking about, that I think was just so fucking cool to watch in the theater.
Yeah,
Um,
the towards the
we'll
end, I'm
we'll definitely
imagining.
talk. Yeah,
Yeah.
yep, yep. Like the shots like that, there's just a lot of really good like cinematography in that. Heck, even like the very first like couple minutes of the movie was really cool, albeit kind of fucked up, but
I will.
really cool to watch.
I will
Very
definitely.
creative.
I will definitely talk. I know it's the opening sequence, but I will definitely talk about the opening sequence in the spoiler section because I definitely think it's worth like if you don't know what it is, go and watch that because seeing that opening in the theaters was amazing. But I'm like, people should experience that for the first time. But I will
Yes.
definitely talk about it in the spoiler section. It's great.
But yeah, I like that. I think what they do with like the story is pretty interesting, and how Marvel multiverse stuff gets handled, I think works pretty good. And especially, I this might be slight spoiler-ish, but if they do something like with one character that they'll do with Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom in Doomsday, if they do something like that, I think I might be okay more with where they're going with this. But we'll kind of save that for later too.
Yeah,
But
I might
overall, I
ask
just
like you to expand on that because even I'm confused what you're saying. But we'll go back to
yeah,
We'll come back to that later.
yeah. But overall, I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was probably my favorite one. If I had to give it a ranking, I'd probably get like an 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
I just really enjoyed it.
We
But
gotcha. Hey,
anyway, on to Randy.
yeah. Anyway, on to Randy's. I didn't even ask for rankings yet. Perfect. Robert's ahead of the game. But Randy, what are your? You absolutely hated this movie, right? You thought it was complete trash. Am I not wrong?
You are completely wrong.
Okay.
I really enjoyed this movie. I agree with Robert to where, well, I don't know if it's the best of the three. I'm sure we'll probably talk about that a bit later, unless you want to talk about it right now. But I did really enjoy it. I enjoyed that. I mean, I know it might get some backlash in regards like later down the line, similar to uh, No Way Home. Not No Way Home. No, it is No Way Home.
hmm
The last Spider-Man in regards to like, oh, it's just like cameo and whatnot. But I feel like these are more deeper cuts, and
Yeah.
it's less like going into Spider-Man. Everyone's like, oh, well, here comes Andrew Garfield.
See,
Okay,
with Spider-Man, it was just the worst kept secret of like
yeah,
Yeah.
everything going in that movie.
It was. Well, I think
this
also.
one felt very like known
I think also like
or
with.
like unknown.
Yeah, I think also like with that because I had a conversation with with my friend Nick who I saw this with, and he was confused like, well, why aren't because he's not as big into like superhero movies. Like, why didn't people have a biggest reaction when like this character showed up, and like when this cameo happened? And I think the difference between No Way Home and when they do their quote unquote cameo versus this is like in Deadpool because it's a comedy and because it's like jokes, you kind of expect it and you know this one is just a cameo. Like this is like characters gonna pop up, do something silly, but like they're not gonna like they'll maybe impact the story, but like it's more played for like jokes and for silliness versus in No Way Home, like that is supposed to be a really big character moment. Like that's the point of the film. It's less of a cameo and more of a introduction of this character again. Um, which I think is like, and I think that's why people have bigger reactions when it came to like No Way Home. Uh, but also, again, like what Randy was saying, with the whole like bringing up, you know, this thing's full of cameos and full of like guest people, and I'm like, yeah, but that is kind of like what you expect almost with Deadpool, and like kind of what you go into it for.
Yeah, like Deadpool is very referential.
Yeah, exactly. Except now that he's in Marvel, he can reference them, and then they actually show up this time. Yeah. But sorry, Randy, I didn't mean to sidetrack you.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
The overall, like I said, I enjoyed it. I thought the jokes landed. I don't know. It's kind of difficult to talk about without
Yeah.
spoiling some things, but and I agree with Robert in regards to the pacing. It felt that it is more of like, okay, we have a defined like start, middle, end, where I feel like maybe a little bit of the second one felt like it was kind of like, what's happening?
hmm
I don't know. Maybe that was just me. Maybe that's just my poor memory, and I need to watch it again. But I'd say overall, yeah, I think I agree with Robert. Maybe like an 8.5, an 8, maybe. Maybe it'll be more like an 8 later on in the future, kind of similar to like No Way Home when people are like, okay, there's the cameo.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I agree. I think 8.5 is a good rating for this movie. I think it does very well, and it kind of does what people expected, where it's like, yeah, it'll make fun of Marvel and the whole timeline / multiverse things, and it'll do what's expected. So I think 8.5 is like a good solid rating for it. I don't think it does anything like that will like change Marvel forever. But it definitely needed to do well, and I think it has done that because I've seen a lot of people react very positively to this. And even like the whole like hashtag Marvel's back because everyone was saying Marvel was dead before this. These movies make millions of dollars. They're not dead. They're fine. They're so fine. But no, I think oh, go ahead.
So I think when people say that, it just feels like a lot of like everything after Endgame had like a soulless feeling to it. Like it was just, here's another Marvel movie. It didn't feel like it really had the heart with it. But like what you got with like something like Guardians 3 or Deadpool 3 is like you could tell these people really wanted to make this movie.
Yeah.
Like you just feel like a lot of the passion behind it. So it makes it a lot more enjoyable to watch because you can tell that the people who worked on it actually care about this.
Yeah, this one had like a reason to do it, not just because like, well, it's time.
Well, I
to
guess we'll make the
record.
next Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Still haven't watched that.
Even
Don't think I will.
You know,
I don't know if there's much of a point anymore because Kang's kind of.
yeah, there's not really a point. It's a fun retrospective on to like look at like, oh, this is how they were setting it up. Interesting. So even though I will always admit that movie is better than The Flash, and I will fight people on that. The Flash is an awful movie.
That is not a very high barrier.
No,
That's a pretty low bar.
But I've had to have arguments with people of just like, yeah, but The Flash had my IQ, I'm like, yeah, but that's it. Like every other character, at least The Flash like pissed me off. Ant-Man just kind of existed and then was finished, and that was it.
Drew, the
Sorry.
bar is so low and ants can crawl over it.
I know, and that's what I'm explaining to people. We're all in agreement. I'm doing the Seth thing where like I'm arguing to like two people that agree with me, and I just feel like I'm getting nowhere.
Like we agree with you, but you don't understand.
But no, you don't get it. This is stupid. Like no, we understand. Okay, but yeah, closing that out. Quick, easy 10-minute review. 8.5. Go see it, and go definitely see it in theaters. I think that's the other thing. I think this is definitely a go watch in theaters. Like, don't wait for it to be
I feel
on
like
Disney or Marvel. It's a good experience, and because it's like a comedy, it's good to like. It's a good movie
to laugh along with like other people. I had a pretty good audience.
Yeah.
I hope they thought the same for me, that I wasn't obnoxious or anything. I didn't think I was, but
hopefully not.
it was like seeing it with a group of people definitely adds to the experience.
Nah, definitely. Agree.
Yeah, it was a pretty packed theater. I went with Becca to go see it. Both of us had a good time with it.
Perfect. Now, question is Becca also like? Does she know like superhero movies and stuff, or did she kind of go in blind?
She just kind of like cherry picks like what Marvel stuff she watches. She's not like super big on it, but she'll go watch it.
Okay.
Like she likes the Deadpool movies.
Okay, so she has seen the other two before this.
Yeah, she has.
Okay, that's fair. All right, just curious. All right, but I think that's enough with the non-spoiler stuff. Unless you guys want to say any last minute spots before I switch to spoilers.
Go see it, and Hugh Jackman still got it.
Yep.
Yes.
Forgot what Randy said.
Randy, that's spoilers.
He's in the trailer.
Yeah, but like a certain. They don't know he has it in the trailer.
He was in the preview before the movie started.
Have you seen Hugh Jackman ever?
Yeah.
In anything? Oh, he has it.
All right.
Have you at least seen Logan? At least watch Logan.
Man's got it.
He does. All right. But that's enough of that. going into spoilers. I'm gonna just be screaming into the microphone the next 30 minutes.
No.
Okay, fine, I won't.
No, the bit's done.
The bit's over. The bit's dead.
I'm as a headphone listener myself, the bit's over.
The bit's done. The bit's done.
It never started.
I'm gonna put a
It
censor.
started initially. He
I
tried.
gotta,
And I was
put,
like,
a censor bar
put my
over
foot down.
myself when I do. Okay, but going into spoilers, yeah. Just going straight into like what we were talking earlier. This is like one of the best opening sequences for a superhero movie ever. It's so fucking funny. It's so good because like all of us have seen Logan. I am assuming, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I think I watched it the first time at Randy's house.
The fact that
Sure.
because that was everyone going into this theater was like, how are they gonna deal with like Logan? Because that was the whole big issue of Hugh Jackman signed on. They finished doing Logan, and like the next day, Deadpool was announced, and he was like, damn it. So like everyone's gonna be like, oh, how are they gonna do this? And this opening tile is like specifically him talking to the audience, like, I know what you're thinking. How are we gonna do this? We're gonna respect it, and we're gonna keep it with care. And then they throw that they don't take deacon.
They desecrate his corpse.
Yeah, he's just skeleton, just killing people with it to the beat of NSYNC or Bye 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 by NSYNC. I'm like, it's great. It's so good. I remember I was like looking, I was like, I wonder how are they gonna do this? How are they gonna deal with this? Because like, and I knew like they weren't actually gonna treat it with care because it's Deadpool, and I was like, yeah, this is perfect. This is great. This is exactly what I wanted. I love that opening sequence. It's so good. Any thoughts on that?
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I ended up actually not seeing that opening sequence.
Oh, you missed it?
What?
Yeah, I ended up getting in when he was talking to Kevin Feige, and he's like, "I need to become an Avenger," and he's
Okay.
like, "They don't
We
become
need to go
Avengers because
back
they
the
need to."
theater.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, I'm not gonna go back to the theater for like the first 2 minutes.
It's like 3
No,
minutes.
you come
but,
for the
like,
first 2
it's-
minutes and then you stay for the rest of it.
It's
Well-
pretty. It's a pretty good like first couple of minutes. Like, that's unfortunate you missed that. Wow. That
Yeah.
made them. Because
That didn't make the movie.
It did. The movie was probably awful to you because you didn't see it. See, that's why you don't
All right.
think it's as good as the first one.
That's why
'cause
I
you
rated
didn't
it
see
so
the
low.
Yeah, that's why you think the first one's better because you didn't see the opening. That explains it all.
Okay.
Yeah, it's right there. Okay, well then we'll skip Randy on this. Robert, thoughts on like the opening? And you don't have to go like just the opening title sequence, like or just like a couple, the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, I think they got really creative with what they're going to do with Wolverine's like bones.
With his corpse.
Like, all right, all right.
Well, I
there's,
mean-
like 200 something bones in the human body. I'm not going to use any of my weapons. Let's do this.
Yes.
See what we can do.
Yeah.
'Cause he's like, all right, I'll fight you, but I won't use any of my weapons. Fine. And then he's like, okay, is he going to hand to hand? No, he just starts like ripping apart Wolverine's bones and starts like stabbing people and like cutting their limbs off of them. It's like, Jesus Christ. And he like gets like Wolverine's claws and starts like impaling people. Like,
At one
he's like,
point,
this
he,
is
like,
So
what
I
it's like
guess-
to be Wolverine.
he stabs someone's nuts with Wolverine's claw. And he gets stuck. He gets stuck in there, and then he just like.
Okay, I
stabs
did
someone
see
else's
that.
crotch.
So they came back to it then? They showed it twice then? Because that did happen in mine when he fights the like TVA.
Well, like yeah, because the whole they do a like a Ferris Bueller thing where like because the opening it's the opening fight scene to Bye 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 by NSYNC. And he like goes and tears, and the last shot of him is him with the Wolverine claws and the title behind him, and then it smash cuts to like, how did we get here? Like he does like
Then
that
it zooms
bit.
into his ass.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, they do an ass transition.
Oh, very nice.
Yes, but like it's like, and what I mean like it's not just to the beat of NSYNC. Like he's like swinging around like Hugh Jackman's skull. And then after he cracks guy, it will like almost jump cut to like Deadpool doing the NSYNC dance, like the like just dancing, and then it'll cut back to him killing people, and then it'll cut back to him doing the dance. It's great.
Yeah.
No,
they got really creative with all that. I
Yeah.
love that.
I honestly think like that's probably like my favorite moment in the film. Like I think that's like my favorite fight scene is the opening. I loved it. And it's literally just him versus goons, which is like the funniest part. Like there's no, well, I guess there's a cameo of Wolverine's corpse, but like it's really just Deadpool being Deadpool, and I think that I love that moment. And I love like how they just immediately address of just like, yeah, no, people are obsessed with Logan, as are the filmmakers as well, and like they know what this means to people. So they're going to say it means a lot to them, and then just like throw it right back in their face. I think that's like such a good way to do a joke. I think that's great. Yeah.
It's like, all right, he can't be actually dead, right? And then it cuts to him next to just a pile of bones.
Yeah. It's like, damn it!
Like,
God damn it! You gotta be kidding me! I worked so hard to get this. God,
you can
damn
regenerate.
You can regenerate. He like puts like a cigar in the skeleton's mouth to be like, come on now, we're good. You'll come back. That's
The
great.
bones like collapse.
It's so good. But yeah, it does. And so the whole, very briefly, we won't get too much into the plot of it because every Deadpool plot's nonsense just for nonsense sake. But the whole idea is like, yeah, the TVA's got him to like, you know, your world's dying because you don't have a Wolverine anymore. And he's like, well, I'll go find a Wolverine, and that's the plot. I will.
It's like basically, if you don't like, what is it? There's like a machine that basically is gonna like wipe the world. It's like you could either help us to stay alive, or you could die along with everybody else.
Yeah.
So he's like, Deadpool will take the opportunity because he thinks he doesn't know like his world's gonna die too. Two, he just wants to be Marvel Jesus.
Yeah. And there's that one obviously like gay dude that works for the TV that gets real excited when Deadpool's about to fall on him. But no,
And then
I
real
like,
sad.
Yeah, he's
like,
real
"Oh."
sad. Oh, I was gonna get some ass. But I like that like they bring in the TVA from Loki into this. I like that that's getting more integrated into this.
Oh, is that where that's from?
That is where those people are from, yeah. And I was gonna ask
Yeah,
you
I
guys
just thought
'cause
it was just something that just they made up for this movie.
No, that is like the whole point of Loki. The only character from Loki that like is there, like all those characters are new except for at the very end the black lady that like showed up and she's like, I'm in charge of here. What the hell are y'all doing? She is a character from Loki.
Okay.
But everything at like the TVA, yeah, that's the whole point of that. And so I was gonna ask you guys like, was that confusing to you? Because Rain, I think you've seen season 1 of Loki, and Robert,
I've seen 1 and 2. I did finish season 2.
Okay, so you've seen all of it. Okay, so I guess Robert, yeah, and that did kind of answer. I'm just like, did that make like in the whole sacred timeline thing? Did that make sense? Because that is like directly from the TV show.
I mean, I feel like that was just pretty straightforward. You can kind of just hand wave that as like, oh, this is like the main Marvel movie timeline.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I felt like it was pretty self-explanatory.
That's fair. But yeah,
It's
that
like,
is,
oh, he's like from like the Fox timeline or whatever you want to go with.
yeah, the whole like sacred timeline thing, like that is the whole like plot of Loki, and the whole thing at the end of Loki is that he's like, there can be more than one timeline. So like Loki creates, that's their explanation of how they create the multiverse. So, but that's all that. And I was wondering that, I was like, I wonder if someone that like hasn't seen the show, if this is like confusing to them, or if they're just like, whatever.
Yeah. See, I kind of just associate it on like a meta level because it's Deadpool. It's like, okay, yeah, the sacred timeline's the main MCU timeline, and the alternate one is the Fox timeline.
Yeah, I mean,
So
and
if
then,
you look at it through that lens, that kind of makes sense.
yeah, I mean that basically is exactly what it is. But also they're mainly just used as an excuse to be like, here's a bunch of Wolverines, which, again, as an X-Men fan and as an X-Men comic fan, I love all of that. I love comically accurate short Wolverine that shows up.
That was fun.
I
He's just a
love
little
that.
guy.
Yeah,
He's
I
gonna
love.
beat your ass, but he's
Hey,
just a little guy.
he's
It's
a
just a
little
little
guy,
guy.
but he's so angry. He's so angry. I love the. At one point, they show Days of Future Past Wolverine, which that was the one that only had one arm. Because in the thing, like, it gets cut off like an adamantium sword or whatever, some comic BS. But I love that one, and I love that they showed the the brown and yellow suit. Because I even remember talking to my friends about this, and I was like, I'm so glad that Hugh Jackman is in the suit, but I'm going to be a big nerd for a minute. I really wish it was the brown and yellow one, because I've always thought the brown and yellow one looks just so much better than the blue and yellow. I think the blue and yellow is fine, it matches the rest of the X-Men, but like the brown and yellow just looks sick, and they do show it. And they even make a joke, I was like, because that was, it was like, didn't you fight the Hulk in this? And then Hulk smacks in the back of the head. Sorry, Eddie, what?
They do show it for just a moment, but yeah, I wish it was a bit more. But it was fun smash cutting through a bunch of those different Wolverines that there were. I didn't really know a whole bunch of them because I'll be honest, I have not too much of like a Wolverine comic reader.
Yeah.
So
Now, as an X-Men fan,
so that
like,
was one where definitely going back and like seeing him up on the giant like X-Men like cross basically with the pile of skulls. Deadpool just going dude, what the fuck? I'm just
Yeah,
like,
that
I'm
is
there too. I don't know what the fuck's happening.
that is a reference to a cover arc of like him on the X-shaped cross. It's like a like the cover of one of the X-Men novels, but the big one also that a lot of people are showing up is the fact that they got Henry Cavill to be Wolverine.
That was fun.
Because DC did him dirty, and also Henry Cavill was almost going to be Wolverine before it was Hugh Jackman, like back when they were both like much younger.
Okay.
So that's what that joke was, and also the fact that like he's not Superman anymore. We can use him.
Yeah. He's just like, come here. We'll treat you so much better than those fucks down the street. It's just like, damn.
Which we would, yeah. They kind of did Henry Cavill dirty because he would have made a great Superman, but they just they tried to make him edgy, and that's not what he is.
He's a big blue Boy Scout.
Yes, but that's a different video of me ranting on how the DCEU made every character Batman. But that's neither here nor there. So yeah, they do all that. And he's finally like, all right, I got the right Wolverine. And then like, this one sucks. All right. And then they go to really what is the main part of the movie, which is their... And ironically, that actually is a place in Loki. It's not filled with this many cameos normally, but that like backspace area.
Oh, the Void?
The Void, yeah. So like, Robert, that is a thing that's like even established in Loki, this Void area where it's just nothingness in the discarded wasteland of like the other variants, which I think is a very clever use of saying.
Mad Max references.
Yeah, like that's a clever way of using like, oh, this is how like you're established, like this is what happened to these guys' world, it got forgotten. I was like, that's clever.
Right.
But I mean, God, this is just cameo heaven. So I wanted to ask you guys, like, in this kind of area, because at this point in the movie, like, earlier it was like just Wolverine and Deadpool like jokes came. Now it's just cameo haven. It's everyone. What was kind of the standouts for y'all? Randy, I'll go for yours. What were the ones that like you were like, oh god, that person's back? Or you really enjoyed seeing this character again?
So, oddly enough, and they play us so hard. They played me like a fucking fiddle because I completely forgot this character existed and that this actor played them. Is
exactly.
They were like, they even foreshadow it initially when he's in the thing with like in the meeting room with Feige, like you see the Captain America shield and stuff in the background.
Yeah.
And then he's just like they already make so many jokes, and even leading up to the movie about like Deadpool's ass, Wolverine's ass, and I was like, you know who else? That's America's ass. And so They even like start to play the Captain America theme song as it's like they find uh this like hooded figure who's like, like I think I can help, and it's very much like this heroic, similar thing to when he shows up in at
In
not
Avengers
Endgame.
Endgame, yeah.
Yeah, is it Endgame where he shows up at the train station?
Oh no,
Is
that's
that
Infinity
Endgame
War.
or
That's
that's
Infinity
Infinity? Yeah,
War.
when he shows up in Infinity War, and it's very
Yeah,
similar like that, and
yeah.
then
Chris
he
Evans
just
shows
drops
up by the
down
way.
and he pulls off his hood, and I was like, oh my god! Like, I mean, I guess sure there could be alternate timelines,
Yeah.
so sure there's an alternate Captain America. Let's go! And then he's just like, he's gonna say the line. Even Deadpool's like, he's gonna say the line, guys. He's gonna do it. Then he just goes, "Flame on!" And I'm just like, bro, I forgot
Dude,
you played me. You
Yeah.
absolutely played me.
the theater, I was dying laughing at that joke when he would flame on, and we were like, "What?"
Deadpool's even go like, oh, he's gonna say Avengers, flame on.
What? That's
Yeah,
so good. So
I
smart.
audibly, I like lightly, but I audibly went, I forgot.
No,
Oh
wasn't
my god.
that was Fantastic Four, right?
Yeah.
Original Fantastic Four.
Well,
Yeah.
When was that?
technically
Early
not original.
2000s?
It was early
Was it not?
2000s. It was the no. There was like a Fantastic Four in like the 80s that like nobody
Oh well.
remembers. But yeah, it was like the
Exactly.
early.
I
It
didn't
was
remember,
early
so I
two
thought this was
thousands.
original.
Yeah, the early 2000s like Fantastic Four, the one that like we grew up on, where it was like he was Human Torch and um, no, I cannot remember any other actor's name, but like those were like pretty decent. The second one was like eh. They're much better than Fan Four Stick, which was the later one.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was something.
That was some, but no, I thought that was great, and I even loved the joke of like, because they had to like kill him off real quick, and even Wolverine's like, "Why did you do that? She freaking killed that kid." And he's like, first of all, he's our age. Second of all, he costs like $1 million every time he's on screen.
He's eating way too much of the budget.
Yeah, that's what he's eating way too much of the budget. It's like that's like good.
Sorry, Cap, I gotta put you down.
Yeah.
He's not a captain.
Not
That's
anymore.
that's just Johnny. Yeah, there was
Oh,
no
yeah, that's his
captain
name.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, his name's Johnny Storm. He's the Human Torch. And I love that like
Just
they,
yeah.
I love that they let him like curse and just be an asshole, be a dick. I feel like so much of Chris Evans'
Watching
career
him play as a dickhead is really funny.
after like Captain America, because like I felt this in like Knives Out too, and I feel like everything after Captain America, Chris Evans just went to his agent and just like any movie where
I
I'm
need to
allowed,
curse.
any movie where I'm
I don't
allowed
want
to
to be a Boy
curse
Scout anymore.
and say some bullshit, let me do. I am tired of people saying language at me. I'm tired of being the Boy Scout, which I can respect.
Let this man say fuck.
They did. They let him say it a bunch of times. And a bunch of other words into that. No, that is definitely like that's the big one that I think like blew up online. I'm just like, holy shit, I can't believe they did that. The other one, other than him, and I'll go just because again I'm gonna be another X-Men nerd for a minute. I freaking love X-Men because they bring up my second favorite X-Men. They put freaking Gambit in this movie. And so a little back
The gambit that never was.
yeah, the Gambit that never was. And so a little backstory behind this. Robert, I don't know if you know this or heard about this, but Channing Tatum was supposed to have his own Gambit movie. There was supposed to be a Gambit movie a long time ago with him as it. It was going to be kind of like an origin story for him, like how like X-Men Origins Wolverine was. Which, yeah, I know that.
Well, there was
was
supposed to be a whole bunch of Origins films, basically. That was
Well,
supposed to be a whole spin-off.
You're thinking of that was a long, long while ago. You're thinking of like because it was supposed to be Wolverine, and then the next one they were going to do was Magneto. This one with Gambit
Yeah.
isn't as long as that.
Okay.
It's not as old. It was a different time, but it was a time when like X-Men was like it was like the third time they had like rebooted the series. It was the second time they were doing the Dark Phoenix, and it just didn't work out, just like budget wise. So they killed the project. And so many people were pissed about it, including Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
So Ryan
Yeah.
Reynolds was like, "Well, I have a successful franchise. I'll put you in this one." So that's why there's so many jokes about how it's just like, I think I was bored here. Like, I think I just never got a chance to do anything.
Yeah,
I think-
I was talking to one of my friends after watching the movie, and
Yeah.
they told me that that was actually Gambit was going to have a whole movie, but it just didn't come to fruition.
Yeah.
Which like sucks because like I like just watching that character fight, it like the interactions with like Gambit and the rest of the cast were just really funny.
Dude,
So it's like, man, that would have been really cool to watch. 'Cause I
Gambit's-
love that card fighting style.
Gambit's so
I don't know
freaking
what.
cool.
I don't know what about that fighting style just looks really fucking cool to me.
I love the scene where like he spins it, like he's doing some like acrobatics. He puts a car on someone, flips, puts a car on someone else, flips, puts it on like two more people, and then he just stands there, snaps his fingers, and all four of them blow up at the same time. Like, I would have been so good. It would have been such.
Yeah.
They actually even do a reference to the first time Gambit was in the movies, where like during again X-Men Origins Wolverine, there is a Gambit in that movie, and he does like he like extends both of his hands up, and like it does like the cards like floofing out, and then he like shoots them through his hand. I don't know why I'm doing the motions in real life. You guys can't see me, but but like they do that shot again in this, and I'm like, I love it. I love it. Don't be scared to like go back to the old stuff. It's great. And I also love that they tell him to like, yo, lean as far into that Cajun accent as you can. I don't want to understand a fucking word you say. It's great. I love it. And he has arguably one of my favorite lines in the movies, which is, "Are you ready, Garrett? Man, I came out my daddy's dick ready. Let's do this." It's so good. I fucking was dying after. And then he follows up with like some like Cajun nonsense after. I was fucking cracking up. I came out my daddy's dick ready. I don't know why that caught me. It's such a good line. No, I think that was such a great moment. There's a few. Robert, were there any others that like kind of stood out to you? I know me and Randy kind of took the big ones.
Oh yeah, because like you guys know this more than I do.
Mm.
Yeah, I think I really liked what they did with Chris Evans. I really liked Gambit.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it was cool to see the girl from Logan back and grown up.
Do you know her comic?
Yeah, that
book-
was nice.
Yeah. Robert, do you know what her her comic book name is? Even if you just want to say the number. No.
I don't know what it
X-23.
is. Okay.
Yeah, because she's a clone of Wolverine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I really like that character as well, and I'm glad that I'm not only glad that she came back, I'm also really glad because a lot of this movie is like just fight scene jokes, fight scene fart joke, a joke about how they can't say cocaine, and then fight scene. But there's this moment after like they all get them together, and Wolverine and X-23 are just sitting by a campfire. And like the movie stops and actually has like a really slow and genuine moment with these two characters that I'm like, oh wait a minute, like they're not, like there's no joke that they're gonna do here. They're just gonna let these two characters just interact again, which I thought was like really like nice and wholesome. And like it was a moment where I think, not that the movie's acted poorly, I think it is acted well, especially by Hugh Jackman. But it was a moment where I'm like, oh no, these two people are like genuinely like they are acting their asses off like for like a scene. Like, all right, hold on a sec, we gotta remind.
He's
people,
developing his character.
Yeah, we gotta like, all right, hold on a sec, we gotta show these people what we know how to like not make fart jokes for like 5 minutes, and then we'll go back to making dick jokes. But give us 5 minutes. But no, I love that scene. I think it does so much for like a character, like the character of Wolverine, which all of us really thought like, yeah, that we were done with that character, like we were done with him. But they're like, no, we can squeeze a little bit more. We can squeeze your heart a little bit more with this.
We got the multiverse. We could do anything we want.
Yeah, exactly.
Until you're 90.
Till you're 90. God, that joke came out the perfect time, right as Robert Downey Jr. came back. It was like, I'm gonna be Doom, and it's just like, till you're 90. Never let
Yeah.
this
Okay,
man go.
that does remind me. That's actually a good point to talk about the thing I was
Yeah.
mentioning earlier.
Yeah, you
about
were
the
talking about
casting
something
thing.
with this. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so when they announced that Robert Downey Jr. was coming as Doctor Doom, I wasn't too big of a fan of that because I feel like, all right, this man's had his time in the MCU. Let someone else play Doom. Let someone else kind of grow from that. Um, and then like when we went and watched Deadpool 3, and then you see that they brought Chris Evans back, but instead of Captain America, he's what do you say his name was?
Johnny Storm.
Johnny Storm
Johnny
or
Storm.
the Human Torch.
Human Torch, yeah.
Okay.
Like he comes back as Human Torch, like okay, so it's like the actor's there, but he's playing a different character. It's like okay, what if we do some multiverse like thing with that? It's like oh, this is like Iron Man. Nope. It's like if he did something different, I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know.
I just think if they could probably find a way to make it like be a little less, I guess, egregious. I don't know if egregious is really the right term I want to use for that. But
No, I know what you mean because it feels like they're just doing it for like the shock value, which like maybe it is, but
yeah.
because you can't do it like the Johnny, like the Human Torch thing, because Chris Evans did play that character back in the day. Like
That's
he played
the
that
thing.
before, so and that was mainly done as a joke. That was a gag.
Now,
And
from what I'm aware, Robert Downey Jr. actually did audition to be Doctor Doom for something in the 2000s. So
I didn't
this
realize
could be
that.
a way of like
Yeah.
going back to that.
I
Yeah, I was talking to somebody and they mentioned that.
I am curious how they're gonna do it. It probably will be a multiverse thing, but I wonder like, are they gonna address the fact that like they're gonna look at it and be like Tony Stark, and he's gonna be like not anymore or so like. It's interesting because like Doom is Doom's actually like a really interesting and fascinating character in comics because he's not as much as a villain as his name would make you think. He actually is really smart, and he doesn't kill innocent people. In fact, like he takes over the world because it's like no, governments are corrupt, which they are. He's like, I can do better, and there's even like so many things in the comics like no, Doom actually runs his country very well. Like he's actually like if he took over the world, it wouldn't be that bad. So it's an interesting character. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic because I'm like, I love Robert Downey Jr. I think he's a phenomenal actor. Obviously, I'm a huge Iron Man fan.
He's a really good actor. Like I'm not
Yeah.
gonna say oh he's a terrible cast for anything. He's like no, that's not true. I just think that I personally feel like they should have got someone else to play the character and let someone else kind of have their moment instead of like bring him back.
Yeah.
But
They're gonna have to do something very specific because I feel like everything's gonna be like, why the heck is Iron Man Doctor Doom now? Like that's gonna be the big question on everyone's mind watching this. So it gives me very similar vibes. And Randy, you can tell me if I'm wrong about this. You know how like in like the Star Wars sequels where they're like, and the Emperor's back, like just to like be like, hey, he's here, like to gotta get fans back. Like that's the same kind of vibes I'm feeling. Like just bring him back to like get people in seats.
I mean, you say bring him back to get people in seats. I don't think the Emperor necessarily brought people back. I don't know. Maybe it brought the general audience.
Yeah.
And I won't spend too long on this. I don't think it's got the general, like it may have got the general audience because they're like, oh, I remember the Emperor, yeah. But like, I would say most people in retrospective, at least Star Wars fans, we love to bitch and complain because that's all we do. Like, really despise that they brought Palpatine back. But it was just a knee-jerk reaction to the last movie, which was anyway. We'll talk about Star Wars another time. I'm sure.
That's a whole different issue. I got a whole.
But I don't think it was necessarily for seats. But I don't know.
It might. I don't know. it felt. I think retroactively they're kind of building in story to make it fix. But anyway, we'll get on to that later. That's a different podcast.
Yeah.
But in fact, even the Robert Downey Jr. is another thing about it. We'll get back to Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah, and I'll just to quickly like finish up like the other cameos. I could not believe they got Blade back for this. They got Wesley Snipes to do this. Because
Yeah, that was crazy.
here's the thing. Not only is that man old, here's the thing. Wesley Snipes and Ryan Reynolds have done a movie together. They did Blade trilogy. They had Blade 3. That movie's not very good. And Wesley Snipes has gone on record and said he freaking hates Ryan Reynolds. But that movie, if you go back and watch it, it's very much Ryan Reynolds. Basically the first time he's ever played Deadpool. His character isn't Deadpool, but like he's doing the same quips and jokes and all that. And according to him in interviews, that movie is he having inspiration for his characters. So they were just like, just do this Deadpool thing. And so that's what he did. He read Deadpool comics and just pretended to be that character. And that's kind of like how he fell in love with the character. So like Blade trilogy technically has a lot to do with this and like how Ryan Reynolds like pushed so hard to be him in X-Men Origins and then eventually all the way to this. But Wesley Snipes have gone record like he didn't like the last two Blade movies and he really didn't like Ryan Reynolds. So that's why I was like, I guess they like made up at some point and to like come back to this because I'm like, how did you convince him to come back? And I even love the joke how he's like, there's only been one Blade, and then Ryan Reynolds look at the camera like, well, not for long, because there is supposed to be another Blade movie coming out. Well, I say soon, it's been delayed, so maybe he will still be the only Blade movie. Who knows? So that was wild. They showed up, and then I was also like not expecting Elektra, which for those who don't know is the girlfriend to Daredevil. And did actually have her own movie. It was like a direct-to-video, like Elektra movie. It's very bad. It's freaking awful. Like I'm talking like Catwoman levels of bad. I was very surprised that Elektra showed up, and they didn't get what's his name, the guy that just played Batman, Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck.
I'm so surprised they didn't get Ben Affleck as Daredevil. That would have been beautiful to get him back in that like awful looking suit. I was like, that would have been beautiful.
I'm sure he was happy to not be back in an awful suit for a
I'm
superhero
sure he
movie.
didn't want to. After doing Batman and like that whole mess, I'm sure he's like, I'm not doing this bullshit. Which like
Did they make the joke in Deadpool 3 about like being able to move his neck, like in the suit?
Yes, they. Oh god, I forget like the blood, but yeah, he does say the same as like I can turn my neck around because every single Batman suit up until Ben Affleck, the actor could not turn their neck left or right because the mask was stiff, so they had to completely 180 their body. And it's very noticeable in Michael Keaton's Batman's of like, yeah, it's just like the head and the suit basically are one piece, so like every time he has to turn, he has to whip his whole body around. So I'll be like, there's so many jokes of just like so like niche superhero things. But we'll start wrapping up here. So this is one of the few complaints I do have about. I guess I kind of have two. But one of the things that I noticed is I think I got kind of bored of two immortals stabbing each other, knowing full well that neither can really hurt the other. And I understand that, like, yeah, in this movie and who these characters are, like, yeah, they're gonna fight each other. Because, like, that's just how their personalities match. Like, they are...
It's a superhero team-up movie. Of course they are.
Well, also, like, even if it wasn't
But
that,
also their personalities.
yeah, their like one is super serious, one's joking, and, like, but they're both violent. So, like, yeah, they're gonna stab each other. There were moments, and I think I felt it more in the first time that they fought, but a little bit in the second of like, yeah, you guys are stabbing each other. At what point do you stop the fight and look at the other guy and be like, this is pointless? Like, what are we doing, mate? Like, Why did you stab me in the gut? It's gonna go straight through. I'll be fine. Like, it hurts, but like, it's not really gonna
To
do
prove a
much.
point.
Yet, I guess. But like,
It looks cool for the audience.
yeah.
Yeah, he's even like, get your special sock out, nerds. I hope you're ready.
I don't know. I didn't. I liked it more when like they were just arguing, because I don't know if I was super
It's
entertained.
a superhero movie. They gotta use their powers to fight one another.
Well, yeah, but like when their powers are basically exactly the same, like this is like there's
But
no.
they're fighting styles, Drew. They're fighting styles.
They're just stabbing each other. They're not blocking shit. They're immortals.
They
It
don't
doesn't
have
ma-
to block shit.
It doesn't matter what happens. Like this fight's
The
pointless.
blood, Drew. The blood.
Yeah, it's just blood for blood. And I'm like, there's no stakes in this fucking fight. Who cares?
The stakes are for
But
the
it
nerds
looks
of the
cool.
special sock.
I guess. I guess. I did love like that Sabretooth showed up and they just immediately take his head off. Like, we don't need 3 immortals in this fucking thing. Fuck that. I'm just gonna do the one thing that kills him.
He's not so immortal without his head.
Yeah. It was just like, yeah, I could have done with less of that, but I understand why they had to do it. Like, they had to make them fight each other. Like, it would be weird if they didn't. But I'm just like, yeah, I get it. It's just, you just stab each other a little bit. Yeah.
I will say the joke with the 20th Century Fox logo in the void was
Oh,
really
yeah.
fucking funny.
Yeah, that was good. I also love that they found the. I love anytime a movie makes a joke about product placement, about how he's like, ready to help me of like what the car was, because I forget, but he
Honda
was like,
Odyssey.
Yeah, right. He's like,
They
are
there
you
is
kidding
a
me?
Honda Odyssey and like a Kia and shit like that, and I was like, I fucking love that. To where he's like, "This is a fucking Honda Odyssey. Throttle response non-existent. Thing sucks." And I'm like, "Well, I mean, it's a minivan. What do you expect?" But also, I agree.
I love that because like definitely Honda and Kia sponsored this movie, and I love
Yeah,
that.
he fucking like at one point just falls out of the sky when he eventually gets like teleported like back out of the void. And he's just like, "Ah, that feels like a Kia." Just like, I don't know. I found it very funny.
I love it. I love anytime product placement is made like it's put in a movie and then like made as a joke, because it's like this and Kingsman does a very similar thing with like McDonald's, of like how they put it, it's like him and the main villain are having like a super serious talk and they're like, all right, time to bring out the special dinner, and it's fucking McDonald's, and at the end he's like, thank you for such a happy meal. Like because they're fucking joking about it. I love it. I love it anytime product placement is used as a gag. It's so good. Yeah, the last thing I have and to talk about was the main villain. I believe it's Cassandra Xavier, I think is what her name is. I'm probably getting that first name wrong, but it's Charles.
No, I'm pretty sure it's that.
It's Charles's twin sister that died in the womb, and that can walk perfectly. What are your guys' thoughts of her? I'll start with Robert, because I think I started with Randy last time.
I don't know much about her, but her power is a little creepy.
Okay.
Where she like sticks like her hands into you to like, I guess she's like peering into like their memories and their mind and stuff.
Yeah.
And she had just like the weird like effects, like you see like her like expanding the dude's eye and whatnot. So like that was a little fucky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was creepy. I don't know if I would say that. I think the effects were done well,
Yeah.
especially for that. I was like, ugh. I don't like it, which is exactly what you're supposed to feel when you look at
Definitely
that.
unsettling, yes.
You get this icky feeling, you're like, ugh.
Yeah. So I thought she was done well. This is another character that's like, has been in the comics that has never shown much light. She's a bit more obscure. I have a weird thing with this. Did you guys feel it weird how like there was a moment where Wolverine's like, no, I'm gonna spare you, because that's what Charles would have wanted. Like that's what Professor X would have wanted, like your brother. And if your brother knew about you, he would have saved you. And they had this like pretty like heart to heart moment where you're like, oh, she's like having a change of heart. She's like, yeah, you know what? I don't need to murder you guys. In fact, I'm gonna help you guys. And then she pulls out the Doctor Strange thing and helps them. And then immediately after, when like Pyro's like, hey, yeah, with the TV, she's like, I go murder people and conquer the world. I'm just like,
Yeah, I did
wait,
find
did you
that
not
pretty
just
odd.
have like, wait, what about the character development? No, your character development. It was like right behind you.
She's developing her character.
I
Never
guess.
mind.
Never
It's a
mind.
lie.
No, she wasn't. She wasn't developing her character. She just threw it away. That felt weird to me. That felt weird to me that like, and like I know you would have to like rewrite that scene to be like, but I feel like there's a way to like do that and still make the movie make sense without just like, oh wait, now we can kill her. Like now it makes sense to murder her, but like not earlier. That was, yeah. That felt a bit awkward and a bit hold like, and again, I get it, it's a Deadpool movie, it's a comedy, it's like the plot doesn't have to make sense. But that was the part where I'm like, I feel like she had that was like her character arc, and then they kind of pulled a like Jamie Lannister on her and just like, forget my old character. I'm going back to how I was at the beginning of the movie. So, I don't know. That felt a bit awkward to me. But it did lead to what Robert was describing. What I'm assuming was the big shot you were talking about immediately after this.
Yeah, that fight scene where
Yeah.
it's like the big panning shot. It's like it's all basically done in one take.
Mm-hmm.
Like the camera keeps moving alongside, and they're fighting all the different like Deadpools.
Yeah, Lady Deadpool, Samurai 1 Cowboy. You know what also I think is really impressive?
Dogpool.
Yeah. What I think is also really impressive. Also, I find it funny that the only Deadpool that doesn't have a healing factor is the handsome one with Ryan Reynolds' face. No,
R.I.P. Nice pool.
I team nice pool. But he had to get the ugly dog.
That is an ugly ass dog.
So yeah, fun
That
facts.
dog is beautiful.
That was the, if I'm remembering correctly, it was in Great Britain. They have a contest for the world's ugliest dog, and I believe that dog was the winner for obvious reasons. And its prize was to be in Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds was
Very
like,
nice.
I'm gonna put this dog in a movie. It was beautiful. But no, what I like about that like big long shot was despite the fact that it's like chaotic, and that I don't mind that scene, even though it's a bunch of immortals fighting each other. Like I actually really like that scene for some reason, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's like it's heroes versus
Double
people.
stand.
Yeah, basically. But what I like about that is even though everyone's essentially dressed like the main character except Wolverine, you can watch it and you can follow main Deadpool and always kind of figure out which one he is. And like not
Yeah,
just
even
because
with,
like,
the
oh,
suits
he's
that look like really similar.
yeah, and not just because like, oh, he's the one winning, so that's who you can tell, but also like Ryan Reynolds plays the character like, because that's him in the suit, like, and it doesn't need to be him in the suit. He can just voice over after the fact and be done. But he plays the character like with so much animation and like the way he moves and his body, like his whole body is the performance, and there's like no one else that like can do it like him. The way he poses, the way he like. Oh, he moves around like an animated character, like how he's so expressive with his hands and his arms and like his little head tilts. And it's no matter like you can pause that long shot on any frame, and like I guarantee you can pick immediately like that one's Ryan Reynolds because of how like he's positioned and how he's like animated. Like you can start that moment in any moment, and you're like that one's Ryan. Like it's. And that's really hard to do when everyone's dressed like him, like from head to toe, and you can't see any face. I just found that interesting. Yeah, and I think the last
I just think for like a shot direction, it just really stood out. Like, okay, we can try something kind of fun here with fighting like an army of Deadpools.
Yeah, and of course they also
Because they could have done something like they did like with the big fight in the void, where you see like this massive like shot, but because they're fighting in like a city street, it makes sense to have a kind of more narrow, like almost 2.5D looking shot. Like
yeah.
I just think that was like a really cool like direction for that. It's like it
Oh,
was almost like a controlled chaos in a way, because again you there was a lot of shit going on, but you could always kind of follow the fight. Like you can go back and watch that fight and get something different from like if you want to focus just on like Ryan Reynolds Deadpool or like Hugh Jackman Wolverine. Like you can kind of always see them somewhere in the shot doing something cool.
I do really like the moment at one point where like they push them off frame and the camera stops, and then they come back
Yeah.
in frame, and he and Wolverine's just like pushing like 10 of them back and just like jabbing the lead one in the rib with his claws. Like that's
Deadpool is pushing Wolverine into
Yeah.
the army of Deadpools.
Yeah. And Wolverine just like little gut punches with his claws. Great. Oh, and I also love that, like, yeah, the cowl finally comes back at the end of the movie. He puts it on, like, it's phenomenal. Um,
Oh, that was cool as shit.
yeah. Also, Randy, you'll really appreciate this. One of, like, the last notes I have is Hugh Jackman is over 55 years old and has the abs of a freaking Greek god. I guess
Didn't he like do didn't
Randy was
didn't
so
he do like a
stunned
lot
by
of
that he couldn't respond.
so didn't he
Sorry,
do a lot of
for
like
that final
workout
shot.
stuff?
Yeah.
I mean,
He's
I
back.
guarantee like he worked out.
Yeah.
Sorry, Will just got home, so I was saying hi. So for that final shot, though, I feel like that's got to be CGI. No way.
I don't
No
know,
way.
man. I don't know, man.
No way, dude.
Hugh Jackman.
Give real.
Hugh Jackman's he's a pretty cut dude.
He is, but like also like
He's a trained ballerina, man.
Really,
He's got some freaking core strength.
I don't know. I mean, he is. And he has put in the work in the past movies, but I'm like, I don't know. I feel like that final shot, I'm just like, that's just two CGI characters looking at each other. That's my opinion.
I'll have to look it up. I'm actually
I
curious.
would love to be proven wrong.
Yeah. I'm actually typing onto Google, was that Hugh Jackman's real abs?
It auto completed.
Yeah. Hold on a sec. Was that Hugh Jackman's body in Deadpool? Oh, there's so many
Researching.
freaking BuzzFeed articles. You guys need to fill in time while I'm looking this up.
Not
Yeah.
the BuzzFeed.
Oh my
Alright.
god.
Well, in the
I gotta
meantime,
pull-
though,
yeah.
Coming up towards the end, or I guess we'll talk a little bit about the ending. Did you expect for Wolverine to live? I fully expected him to die.
They kind of
To be
set
honest.
it up like it because like okay, bring him back for like one last movie because they kind of well, they didn't really miss their shot, but you gave the impression that they missed their shot when like Logan happened and then they got Deadpool right after. It's like, well, we can't do this now, and then Marvel multiverse stuff happens. Like, okay, maybe we can do kind of one last hurrah, let the fans have like their Wolverine and Deadpool crossover thing, and then move on. But no, they like, nope, we're keeping them.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised. I was like, okay, they're gonna send him off, and then like they were like, okay, we did the thing. And all you nerds can shut up. We did one with both of them, and then we'll like because they saved that world or whatever. They'll recast with like a new Wolverine. Because I was pretty sure at the end of Logan, like Hugh Jackman was like, yeah, I'm done with this character.
Yeah, that's kind of what I got.
Yeah, he
impression
did
of
say
too.
that, and then Deadpool came out, and I think he said on Twitter, "God damn it," because he wanted to do
Oh.
Deadpool.
Like, fine, I'll do it one more time.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure, I'm fairly certain I mean, look, like they keep joking until he's 90. So like maybe he'll come back as a cameo, but this is probably his last go around. More
as
than
like the
likely.
actual like full movie.
As like doing the full movie.
Okay.
Also,
Because yeah, like
I'll let
even
you-
at the end, they're like, "See you around," and he's like, "Probably not."
probably
No.
not. Yeah, but then he's like, I'll come back and do a dinner scene. So I don't think he'll come back.
There's a non-zero chance he pops back up again at something.
He would be like, if he does, like it might like if there's a Deadpool 4, he'd be a cameo in that, or he'd do like how they do in the past, like there's a picture of him on like Deadpool's like the Deadpool was put over his face. But no, he's not gonna do like another like full movie, almost certainly not. Also, looking up, I never got a definitive yes, but all I've gotten were just people talking
Were
about
they
how
born?
Hugh
Born
has-
in labs. I'm rank those
has,
apps.
no,
Anyway.
Hugh Jackman is like trained for like over like 6 months to prepare for the role of Deadpool.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that's him. I think
You
that's
can't
his-
get those abs in 6 months.
dude. He's also like
That shredded?
okay. Again, he's like a professional dancer. Like not he doesn't just do acting. Like he does work out like
Might have
outside
still
of these.
been
He
in
has to keep his
decent
body
shape
in
even
shape.
before the role prep.
Yeah, like he was in good shape before this. He said like it only took 6 months to get into that. So
Look, if he was already like working out and stuff prior to that, and then he had a more focused workout to like really tone up like that, I'd believe it.
I don't know. That's what the poll on this video is gonna be: is are Hugh Jackman's abs real at the end scene?
Are they real at the end?
Yeah.
Yes
are
or
they
no? Vote
yes.
now.
Don't
What
even
do you think?
specify. Just say,
Yeah.
are they real? It's like, if you know, you know.
Are they? Are they real? You know what we're talking about. I think he's real. I'll give it to him. Yeah, he's probably it. But yeah, no, I think I would have thought that like, oh, they were gonna kill him off, and then Deadpool ran into the chamber first and was like, oh, now they're not. They're gonna do it together. Yeah, but now they're not. Like immediately, like I was like, maybe they could do it, and then he switched around like, well, no, now he's not. Like immediately, I was like, they're not gonna kill him. They've already killed him off once. But no, if he actually did go into, if it was just Wolverine in there first, then I would have been like, oh shoot, they might actually do it. Like they might actually kill off his character. But nah, he already has dramatic death scene. Why do it twice?
Till he's 90.
They almost gave Deadpool one. It's like, nah, he's fine.
They're not killing off Deadpool. That character is Marvel Jesus. He's
try
the
to
only
get
thing
you
saving him.
because- They try to get you because, like, no, you're going to be wiped out on an atomical level. You're not coming back from this. And Deadpool's just like, bet.
Yeah. He's like, these movies make way too much fucking money for you to kill me right now. I'll be fine. So here is, and the last thing before we give our closing thoughts, I must ask you guys. There is one unsolved question at the end of this movie. Why was Thor crying over Deadpool in the shot? And I
Shit,
realized-
you're right.
And I realized that, yeah, it's a reference to Thor, the Dark Thor, which we don't talk about. But I was expecting, like, a final act gag of, like, it cuts to them doing
Of
that.
Chris Hemsworth showing up.
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth showing up and, like, they're going to
Yeah,
do, like, a
Chris.
gag about this. But they don't. It's just unanswered. We don't know. I guess they're set up for Deadpool 4.
Deadpool 4. That would be fun. Deadpool 4 / like Thor 4, right?
Yeah.
Deadpool
Or no, it'd be Thor
4.
5.
Thor 5.
Yeah.
No, I
Maybe
like
not then. No,
Deadpool Thor.
I'm kind of done with Thor. But that's a topic for a different video.
Yeah. Oh,
The less I think about love, the better.
but yeah, no, they never. I feel like, because I feel like they did the joke at the beginning of the movie, and then they have a couple like reminder gags of it because he wakes up and he's like, oh my gosh, Thor, and like he keeps joking about it. I'm like, I feel like that's like the joke that never got a payoff, you know? Like there was never like the final part of that, like you know, like the old saying, like comedy comes in threes. I feel like we only got it twice. Like where's the punchline?
There's a whole nother movie, my dude.
Yeah, I guess we gotta wait till Deadpool 4 to get that.
Deadpool 4. Call
Yeah.
it now.
Oh, this movie will definitely make a fourth movie. Like that's no question about it. It almost certainly will. It's the only thing keeping, as some people say, it's the only thing keeping Marvel alive. That's not true, but yeah, they didn't. I was expecting that final gag. But that does kind of segue into the final question I have for you guys. What do you? Obviously, like they're gonna keep using this character of Deadpool. Is there either what would you like to see, I guess, in a sequel, or would you like him to show up in like a different movie? Like, do you guys want him in an Avengers thing? Do you want him in someone else's movie, or like just keep letting him do his own thing? Randy. Or Robert.
I think
Nope, Randy.
I'd rather him keep his own thing. As fun as it'd be with him interacting with like other characters, I like the characters we know. We already know the characters from that main like timeline. And now that they're together, we can just bring them in and just say, "Oh, that's a different universe one," or whatever, and get to have this like fun playground of like Deadpool, but with like Hulk or whatever or something. I don't know. But like, and not have it be, oh, well, because Deadpool showed up in this one Hulk movie, that means he's gonna show up in Avengers 27 or whatever.
Yeah.
I know we're not at that point, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I think it's fun. Like that's part of the fun of Deadpool is being self-referential to the wider Marvel universe and just being like, yeah, that shit, whack. My shit, tight as fuck, dog. So
I'm tight as fuck. That's fair. Robert, what were you gonna say?
So that's my opinion on it.
Sorry. Yeah.
I feel like Deadpool being put in something like an Avengers movie, they would have to tone the character down to like for ratings sake because you can't have Deadpool without it being like rated R.
Yeah.
Like
Well, you can.
just
It's called
Deadpool
X-Men Origins
style-
Wolverine.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's not the
did
same.
Did they like kind of botch his character a bit? in
No,
I
that
haven't
movie's
seen
bad. Was the joke.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause,
That,
kinda what
that,
I'm
that's the
getting
no,
is, like,
Robert.
you
That's
can't-
the movie where they literally sewed his mouth shut so he couldn't talk.
Yeah, that's the only way you can't get him to fucking
Yeah,
on his
like that's not
tirades.
really. It wasn't really dead to him. Like people were very pissed off. So.
Yeah, but it's like you can't have Deadpool without like the very raunchy quips and the excessive gore and shit. Like, nah, I think Deadpool's kind of better off on like a side thing. Like, yeah, maybe another hero or two shows up in like a Deadpool thing, but it kind of needs to just be Deadpool and not Deadpool in, I don't know, Incredible Hulk or whatever.
So, here's my counter to both of you because you guys are wrong. I'm joking. But the one other character that I want to see Deadpool with, and I don't know how it would work because, like you said, it does kind of have to, like, ratings is going to be a weird thing, but maybe it can be a gag. The other character that Deadpool is really famous for, like, hanging around other than Wolverine is Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Okay.
Yeah,
That would be fun. That would be fun.
Because Deadpool always says, like, oh, it's my best friend Spider-Man. And Spider-Man, for a lot of media, just hates Deadpool. Not to the extent that, like, Wolverine hates him, where, like, Wolverine will just stab him. But, like, Spider-Man's like, dude, I'm like a high school. Well, like, he doesn't tell Deadpool he's a high school, but he's like, I can't really be around you. And Deadpool just, like, keeps bothering him. I would love to see that. Now, I don't know how it would exactly work with. They'd have to joke a lot about, like, you're hanging around a high schooler. And, like, there'd be a lot of that jokes. But, yeah, it'd it'd be a weird thing, but I would love to see like a Deadpool and Spider-Man like on the same screen scenario. I think that's the last thing I can think of. Like, yeah, that would work super well with like those two characters because they work so well in the comics. But yeah, I think that is about everything. Any closing thoughts from either of you guys about this movie? You know, the last thing you guys get to say. Randy.
Go see it if you haven't. Although if you made it this far, you probably already have because we just spoiled all the shit.
Yeah.
Unless you watch this months down the line, in this case. Hope you enjoyed it, even if you watched it on Disney Plus or wherever the hell this ends up.
That's fair. Yeah. I also love that Randy's final thoughts on the spoiler is exactly the same as the non-spoiler of just like go see it, and we're done.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Go see it. It's fun. And, hopefully they'll make another one in like 3 more years or something. I'm sure they will.
Yeah, no, this did super well. But yeah, no, it's a good time, and I'm really glad that like these movies come out because I think it's important for definitely superhero movies, but any genre to have a parody version of it. I like it when things can point out and be silly about it. I think it makes it better, makes it more enjoyable. Yeah.
It's superheroes. It's gonna be kind of ridiculous. There's a lot of suspension of disbelief you kind of gotta have for these, and it's great when the movie just can have fun. It doesn't need to be like uber serious looking at you, DC.
Yeah. I was about to say, if you weren't going to make the joke, I was going to. But yeah, definitely go see it. I think it's important to have. It's important to make fun of your own work. It's how you get better. But
yeah.
with that all said,
hey, I still had closing thoughts, Drew.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought that was your closing thoughts.
Skipping over the man.
I was just adding on.
So sorry. I thought that was you saying you're done. My fault. Go ahead, Robert.
Nah, I wanted to just talk about the credits for a second. I honestly really liked the credits for that movie, where they show a lot of they'd show a lot of like kind of behind the scenes from like I guess these are like X-Men, Fantastic Four movies and stuff.
Yeah, so
the Fox era movies.
It's everything. Yeah. It's the behind the scenes of all the Fox movies, even fan forced the really bad ones.
Yeah, because it's like, even though I don't have any real attachment to it, it just really shows like how much they really care about even like the bad stuff, and kind of like looking back at the Fox era kind of fondly in a way, because you could see like the actors like joking, you can see them like make a screw up for like a blooper reel, stuff like that, playing with Green Day, Time of Your Life, because of course. Like, it's kind of just a very, like, feel-good credit sequence.
Gosh, Robert, I'm so glad you stopped me, because I can't believe I skipped this part of... This was such a love letter. Oh, goddamn, you just... Never mind, keep going.
No, I was going to say, there's that, and then also there's the post-credit scene, which is really fucking good.
Yeah. He did it.
Now, what do you think your thoughts on the...
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, the joke earlier in the movie is Deadpool was talking to, what's her face? Xavier's sister. Mm-hmm. Charles' sister.
Yes.
What's her name?
Cassandra Xavier, I believe. That's what I said earlier.
Yeah. Where Deadpool's basically saying that Johnny said all this like crazy shit about Cassandra. And he's like, I swear he actually said it, but you don't actually know if he said it. And then the post-credit sequence is Johnny saying pretty much verbatim what Deadpool repeated to Cassandra, and he's like, got him.
And you can quote me on that. Yeah, and I will.
And then he finally has it there, and you can quote me on that. All right. Any more else, Robert? I'm about to start talking.
Nah.
All right, we're good. Okay. Back to what you said earlier. Yes, no, I'm glad you stopped me because yes, the credits on this definitely like got to me as like I'm a huge X-Men fan. I've seen all of these movies, even the really bad ones. But also, like, there's been a lot of really good ones. X2 is, like, one of my favorites because it has Nightcrawler in it. Days of Future Past is really freaking good. And then, obviously, Logan. Um, and, yeah, this movie was, like, definitely like, the big send-off to, like, the Fox universe that the Fox universe never got. Like, even if, like, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like, ended after this, like, there was no more after this. They always have Endgame, and that is, like, their definitive, like, end point. Like, we're done. And like the Fox universe never really had that. It never had its like big, going out moment until now. And like I'm just such a sucker for this moment too because I freaking love Green Day. I love that band so much. And the fact that like if they're playing a Green Day song over this, I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like they're just trying to itch at my soul right now. That's why I say so much like I'm fully aware this was fan service. I'm like 90% of this movie is fan service. But I'm a fan, and I was the one being served, so I'm happy with it. I'm so happy with it. That was yeah. I love that ending moment. That was great. All right, Randy, do you have anything to say before I start going, or do you want to interrupt me as I talk?
You're good to go.
All right, cool. Because I'm the only one that can interrupt people. Got that, Robert? I've been doing that this whole podcast.
No, fuck you. I do what I want.
There you go.
Hey, I gotta bully.
What'd you
your
say? I
quota
was busy interrupting you. What was up?
So I got a whole quota I gotta meet.
Fair enough. All right. But yes, that is the last thing we will say about Deadpool. But that is not the last thing we will say on this podcast because at the end of our podcast, we give our fresh picks of the week. This is what we talk about, what we've been playing, watching, or listening to when we're not recording this podcast. Mr. Robert, would you like to say what you have been playing, watching, or listening to? What is your fresh pick?
Yeah, I've been borderline addicted to this fun indie game called Balatro. I think it released earlier this year, late last year, where it's like a roguelike based around poker hands. So each
Interesting.
yeah, so like you have to make like poker hands like, full house, four of a kind, all that kind of shit. To like build like chips to like meet like a quota, and you have to like each hand has like a different value to it, and what helps you like meet the goals is like joker cards that are kind of like modifications to the hands. It's like, oh, you get a bonus if you play a hand that's like full of like hearts cards, or like, oh, you get a bonus if you like play like a full house, but only like if you only play like a full house this run or turn or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like different like modifiers that keep things interesting. Um, and every like few I think it's like rounds, you get like a boss round that if you beat them it ups the ante and makes like the quota a lot higher. But there might be a debuff like, oh, you can't use spade cards for this round, or any cards you used in like a winning hand the last rounds, you can't use them for this.
Hmm.
So it's always kind of making you vary up like your strategy. Like, okay, um, you kind of gotta. You only have a few rounds to really prep for those bosses. Um, but it's just a really fun game. Like, oh, this run I just want to go for like, full straights or whatever, or like five of a kind, whatever the term is for
Yeah.
like using all the same like symbol. Um, but it's like incredibly addicting. It's made I've not really had much interest in like poker and stuff beforehand, but it kind of like got me to learn poker hands and kind of
Hmm.
get interest in that. And it's the kind of game I think just about anybody could really enjoy because it's playing cards, and I think just about everybody's at least seen a deck of playing cards before. So I think it's a game that's really worth checking out for people. It's only like $15, and I think it's on just about every platform. I'm not sure about Xbox, but it's on PC, it's on Switch, it's on PlayStation, and just a really fun time. So I
Interesting.
highly recommend checking that out.
Hmm. I have not seen this before, but as someone who does know how to play poker, no, that seems interesting. Cool. Well, I'll have
Oh,
to check that out.
I think you would probably have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. Maybe I'll have to give that a look into. Uh, Randy, it's your turn.
I've been watching or not watching. I've been listening to. Uh, I know I've brought them up before. Highly Suspect.
Mhm.
Probably one of my favorite bands. Um, no, I'll say yeah, they're my favorite band. They
There we
have
go.
like
Yeah.
some amazing songs. And they just put out a brand new album. Um, called As Above, So Below. Um, and there's it's I wish it came out just a little bit sooner. We're still gonna have a good amount of summer
Hmm.
and stuff, but like the first song it hits you with is the song called Summertime Voodoo.
Hmm.
And like I really enjoyed has this kind of like psychedelic like moment in it and I don't know, it's just like not synthy. I don't know, it's just like it has a really cool psychedelic moment in it that I vibe with. Um and there's other like really good songs on here. For example, we have Champagne at Our Funeral. Um, just like going off some of the numbers they have here. And I don't know, it's a fun vibe. I haven't listened to it a whole bunch just because work has been hectic, so I haven't really had as much time. Um, but definitely check it out if you liked some of their like if you enjoyed oh, what's it called? Why am I forgetting its name?
Who
If you enjoyed
knows?
their
What could it be? What could it be? No one knows except Randy. While he looks it up, I'm gonna stall for time.
oh,
Just
there it
keep.
is.
There you fixed
If
it.
you
Thank God.
enjoyed,
I was almost
yeah,
done.
if you enjoyed Serotonia,
Yeah.
um, which is which is a relatively popular song of theirs. It's my favorite song. I think you'll enjoy some of the songs off this album. Um, and like it does have other songs that go like really hard, like some of their older stuff. Like for example, like Bath Salts. That's one of their older songs that goes pretty
Mm.
hard. Um, I would say More Pills slash Run for Your Death is kind of similar in regards to like how hard it goes and like that sort of like more when you think rock album,
Yeah.
you think this. So give it a listen.
Nice. All right. Good suggestion. Well, since Robert picked a game, Randy picked some music. I think it's only fair that I complete the triangle, and I'm gonna pick a movie. But I'll actually pick a movie that I was not as big a fan of as everyone else, and that was Twisters. And I do want to go on record saying I don't think it's actually that bad. But it is like it's it's like Fast and Furious level of stupid. Like it's really dumb, and it has the thing. I think what makes me upset about the movie the most is the fact that it has it. The whole point is like, oh, the two main leads. They're super smart. They're like these weather geniuses. That's not actually the case. It's just everyone else in the movie is like stupid as hell. Like I'm talking every single other person in this world. If you don't tell them the tornado is coming towards you, even as they see it, they will not get cover unless they tell you to get cover. Um, like that level of brain dead.
Fake
Really care.
news.
Yeah, it's so stupid. Um, and I remember I came in the movie and was like, it's okay, I guess. Like it's really dumb, but apparently everyone else liked it. And I remember I had a friend try to convince me how good it was. And I actually now think the movie's worse because he did that. So that's actually now my rotten pick is Twisters. I don't like it very much, and I'm just wanted to use this podcast to say, Zeke, you're wrong. The movie's trash. Screw you. And that's basically it. But some people like it. It's
Got
dumb
him.
action if you want to go see it. But you probably should see Deadpool instead if you rather want to see that. Because that somehow has smarter writing than this. But I'm not going to. I'll digress. I can get more into it if y'all want me to. But I think that is everything for this podcast. So I want to first thank Robert. Robert, thank you for coming on and talking to me about this movie.
No, Drew, thank you.
Good time. And then, of course, as always, the most reliable person to have a fresh pick ever. Randy, thank you for
Yep.
coming on and joining us.
Always.
Always.
You're welcome.
He's never tried to just figure it out right before we started recording. Never.
Never
Not
once.
once.
Not once. So reliable.
Not me.
Not this man. But the most important people that are here are you, the viewers. So thank you for either watching if this is on YouTube or listening if this is on Spotify. Thank you again, and stay safe out there.